is Christina at the Pine Box on Capitol Hill.
This is Adam at the Canterbury Ale House in Capitol Hill.
This is Audrey at Starbrass in Georgetown, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars, the podcast that blends the modern scooter lifestyle with a twist of the paranormal over a cool cocktail. This podcast follows a group of modern Vespa riders in search of classic pubs, dive bars, and haunted taverns. And the conversations that follow are simply our own, with no concerns about the fallout that could certainly happen and occasionally does. So there you go. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars. This one's called I'm Not Your Trained Monkey.
Mark, why do you have that title? Are you going to unveil it later? Or?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit later, I hope. Maybe you'll remember. So with that, let's get into it. Hey, did you know that we are now the numero uno, most popular in the world scooter podcast?
Who is?
We are. Well, one that features bars and ghosts.
Oh, so we need all three categories?
Well, I mean, it's the only way I can make sure we're number one.
Wow, all this hard work is starting to pay off.
It certainly is. So thank you, listener, for making us number one. And please remember to tell your scooter and bar friends to download, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts. We can also be found everywhere podcasts are played, and most recently on Spotify, where you can go to the Spotify.com and listen to us or download the free app for your smartphone or tablet.
Now, isn't that a big step?
We're out there. Yeah, I think it's a big step. I mean, you know, there's some people finding us and playing us on Spotify. So
well, just think of where we started and where we are now in
Well,
Season 2.
and what about the new listeners around the world, Mark?
Well, pretty exciting.
Right.
We've got a new contingent in Russia, in Moscow.
Da!
and also down in
Argentina?
No, the far end of
South
Australia. We're going to get there later.
New Zealand?
Later in the podcast. It was starts with a T, and I'll tell you a little later.
Tasmania.
That's right.
The little devil.
So hi, it's a call out to our Tasmania listeners. Also, a correction for Sabatino Vintage Moped and Scooters in Portland, Oregon. I totally screwed up their name in the last podcast, and he called us out, which was very cool. It means he heard us.
Yeah.
And you can find them at sabatinomopeds.com. And thanks for listening, guys. Hey, we have in studio today Mark Shelbert.
Hello.
Hey, the Lizard.
What up, bitches?
Bobby Chong. Oh,
He's in.
what
What
Bobby
happened to
Chong,
Bobby?
he got sick. Doesn't feel good. Yeah. And our special guest up from Sacramento, California, fresh off the cutting room floor, Keith Pendominono Wombold. Welcome, Keith.
Where is he?
Oh, he lost track of time. And he wonders why he ended up on the cutting room floor last time.
Well, it's going to happen again if he keeps this up.
Well, we do. There's some things going on in his life we need to hear about. So he says he's on his way and he'll be here shortly.
Yeah, he's got big news, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Can't wait to hear about it.
Well, he's very excited to share it. You can see him here, ready to go. We do have a new feature to our podcast today.
What did you go and do now?
Scooter News.
Whoa!
It's sort of like The View, which I'm sure everybody watches, or The Chew. And we'll just talk about a couple of scooter topics and have a little discussion.
Now, is this something our vast fan base can write into you and suggest some ideas?
Well, yeah.
Or it's just what you decide?
Well, right now it's what I decided because it's the first one and nobody would have known to do that. But I want to talk a little bit about the London scooter hijacking and the London scooter gangs. Have you heard anything about that?
The hijackings?
Yeah. Have you heard anything?
No, not a word.
Well, this is going to be fun to talk about with you. So there's a group of really badass dudes, not good people, that are hijacking people's scooters when they sit in traffic or behind lights. They push them off, they jump on their scooter, and they take off around the traffic and go.
Is it the same group of people, they think, or it's just a multitude? This is what people are starting to do.
Well, there's different gangs doing different things. Some of them steal cell phones. Some of them are burglarizing and robbing people. But mostly, if you even go on the Vespa GTS owner's website, there's even some videos there of one of the guys fighting him off with his helmet.
Really?
Took his helmet off and beat him up and got away with it. And another one where a truck blocked the scooter in, wouldn't let the guy out, and really
So
kind
these
of
are
bad
badass
stuff.
scooter gangs.
They're bad people.
Holy
doing
cow!
this.
They are giving us scooter riders who just go from bar to bar drinking an hour
Our
a bad name.
whatever we break the law is pretty minor compared to what's going on in London. But the police over there have set up stings now, and they are setting themselves up to be caught. And they picked up 10 guys, and they're going to jail.
Is it those London cops with those funny hats?
With a nightstick?
I think they have a helmet that looks just like one of those guys. But they are sending some people to jail, and I think they're really kind of getting after it. So thanks, London Police, and sorry that's happening over there. But we haven't seen much of it here, but it sounds like a great idea for us to get a new scooter.
That's it. We're not going to scoot in London anytime soon.
It's going to be a while. But hey, I like this segment. This is great news. I didn't know this.
Right. I just thought I'd surprise you when you sat down.
I feel like a more whole person now.
What I really like is your strong opinion about this and your knowledge of what you know about it.
Well, if you give us a script ahead of time, or if you let us know we've got a new section of this feature podcast, whatever. I don't even know what. I just walk in the door and I'm hitting over the head with this stuff.
Well, there you
Can't
go.
surprise me like this. You know I hate surprises.
You know the other exciting thing is that Vespa's coming out with the Vespa Electrica. It's the new electric Vespa. What have you read about that,
Now, I'm
Lonnie?
well versed on this one. Lonnie, go ahead.
Well, I do know, and I'm Lizard, by the way. I do know that
Sorry.
Vespa says it has a little more get up and go than your typical 50cc scooter. So I think it's meant for city slickers.
Yeah,
a little
urban.
soft for us.
Yeah,
But it does what has like a 200-mile range,
something like that. Yeah.
200-kilometer range.
Well, let me do the math on that for a second. That'd be 68 miles.
That means it's a lot less money, too. It's good looking. It seems like the trim is all lit up all the way around it. It's got a nice digital dash, and I guess you can plug in all your stuff.
So
It'll
it's a
power.
high tech.
Huh. I wonder how long of a cord it comes with.
Good one, Lizard.
Yeah. So there's just a minor introduction to our scooter news. There's other things I'd like to talk about, including an upcoming ride that I read about on the Vespa Club of America's latest newsletter that's in Germany in a resort that was built in an emptied atomic nuclear facility.
Well, that's going to be safe.
With the big stacks, and they turned it into this big resort. And so it's like a 3 or 4 day German scooter rally in this X-ray place.
Huh. Well, you could take your electric scooter there and go forever.
It would have all the power it needs. So we're going to have a little more on that in the next podcast, but that's coming up. And I took a look at the rooms and the place, and it's pretty cool. So check out your Vespa Club of America newsletter. And more importantly, join the Vespa Club of America so that you can get the newsletter and the patches and the stickers and all the cool things they give you.
Love their patches and stickers.
So if I can get this straight, you've talked to us about a dangerous area
Of London, right?
and a completely toxic area to go.
Right.
I don't like.
Well, I
At
told
your
you.
advanced age, you don't care about death, do you?
Well,
You're staring it right
you
in
know,
the face.
I expect it's coming at some point, but I think that it's important as riders that we know our mortality is possible.
Well, when I get to your age, I'm sure I'll think more about it.
Okay, so
Oh, we need to pause for hurt feelings here.
okay, we'll be right back. Let's talk about some winter riding woes. I recently found a really cool blog called Scooter in the Sticks.
I remember you telling me about this.
Right, it's a really pretty website with great pictures and well-written stuff. There's this guy who lives in northeast area in Pennsylvania, and he likes to ride in cold weather. And he also writes...
Well, this is a good winter for him then.
Yes, he has a lot of introspective thoughts on the scooter lifestyle, and he writes it from an older person's perspective.
That's what got you.
Yeah.
Pulled you right in.
He recently went for a Christmas ride, he said, and it was 13 degrees out. He also has some really good recommendations for cold weather gear, including the Toscano Urbano gear, and you can check him out at scooterandthesticks.com.
13, that's bone chilling.
That's way colder than our last ride at 36 degrees.
Yeah.
But speaking of gear, I got me some really great cold weather riding gear for Christmas. I got some epic electric riding gloves.
Oh, you've been talking about keeping your hands warm for years.
That's right. And a gaiter for my neck. And so I'll be like the Scooter in the Sticks guy when I get my Toscano Urbano apron.
Are you getting that?
And a pair of K66 Snowtex tires.
Well, if that's the case, you might as well just buy a car.
Well, if
Trying to
that's the
cover
case,
it.
Oh,
I'm going to get the K67s.
Oh, nice. Listen, I know
I
a
got
lot
a pair
of
of K2s in the garage.
I know a lot of people have put away their scooters for the season in storage, but I'm saying we haven't. We're out there hitting the pubs and looking for stories, and a cool cocktail. And we promise we keep riding all winter, and we're just going to do it. So if you live in the Tacoma, Seattle area, and you see our Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars sticker, email or Facebook message us right away, and we'll try and meet you and buy you a drink.
Yeah. Have we had any takers on that? You've offered
Maybe.
that in the previous.
Well, I bought you a drink.
Oh, yeah, that's
Whoa,
right.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
When you forget your wallet.
Yeah.
I did forget my wallet on the last ride. That one I was a frugal man.
Yeah, the lizard stepped up, took care of us.
So before we get into our recent rides, Keith, when he gets here, is going to tell us about his Grand Dink and the changes to his scooter fleet. There's got to be a story there. We're pretty excited to have you here in the garage again.
Well, thank you very much.
From Sacramento. You recently changed your fleet.
I did, yes. I've got a wonderful deal on a 2016 Piaggio 350 BB350.
Wow.
Just about a maxi scooter.
Were you looking for this, or it fell into your lap?
You know, I'm always looking, Mark.
Nice.
And happened to come upon it at a dealer that did not know what they had, and got it for darn near half of what
It was worth?
book value is.
Wow, you screwed the man.
I screwed the man.
Nice.
Finally.
So we've talked a lot about the Grand Dink in the podcast, and frankly,
In a most affectionate way.
we have an affinity to the Grand Dink. So what caused you to want to get something different?
Part of it was I was kind of tired of not riding Italian with a group of Italian machines. So
Right.
that was part of the motivation.
Which we all have Italian
Absolutely.
machines.
Absolutely.
Except for your brother, who borrows a 50-year-old Honda Elite 250, which, by the way, has never left him in the dirt.
That is true.
Wait, it's left him in the dirt. Never left him on the side of the road.
Well, it wasn't dirt necessarily. It was still asphalt. But anyway, I've always been looking, and there it was. It's white like the Grand Dink.
So if we squint, it'll seem like the same.
Absolutely. But certainly a tremendous upgrade over the Grand Dink.
350.
A 350.
Have you put some miles on it?
I think we've put about 300 miles on it.
Nice.
It's got, it only started with 1,800 miles, so it was a low mile rig. Anyway, but the Grand Dink, you know, I thought about holding on to it for a while and having two in the fleet, but
Well, you have a bigger bike as
I
well.
have a bigger bike as well, yes. But I do want you all to know the Grand Dink went to someone that loves it. It was completely stripped of any decals, stickers, etc. from any of the rides.
So they can't go in and say they're from
They
the Chasing
cannot
Ghost
say
crew?
That's correct.
But you didn't throw in the helmets. You still have the helmets.
Have all of the helmets, yes.
Keith does a wonderful helmet signing every year for the Pub Scoot, where he has every server and or bartender sign his helmet, which is then put on the wall and in your
worn-
garage
And still worn from time to time.
when you're
on different
feeling
rides.
joyful and frivolous.
In fact, I already have my new helmet design in mind. It's
Oh.
going to be Keith's meal tips for a future scooter club.
Right.
Well, I'm
Maybe he
hoping
could
to.
join us on our next winter cold weather woes ride.
I
Absolutely.
would love to be a part of a new adventure for me.
Wow. So what would we call it? It would be the virtual winter ride.
With virtual interviews, since we haven't had one yet.
We're having one right now, dickhead. All right. So good to see Pen Dominono.
Nice to
and the lizard took off on us, but Mark, you're still
No,
here?
No, because remember, this is in the middle of the podcast.
Okay, the lizard and the lizard?
Lizard's still here. Hello.
It's the lizard, not Lonnie. You know how he got that name?
I actually do not know.
I think you know. Well, staying on the cold weather topic, we've had some really great, fresh weather, cold weather rides in search of simple classic pubs, dive bars, or haunted taverns recently. And let me just list them here, and we can give our first and second opinions. Does that work?
Good.
So a couple of weeks ago, we met at, I guess it was a month or so ago, we met at the Star Brass Lounge in the old Star Brass Works building in Georgetown and met Audrey.
She was a nice girl.
She was. She was opening up, and we waited patiently outside, if you remember, again. And Mark, you met a friend in her. What happened there?
I'm just that kind of friendly guy.
So
Well, what do you mean I made a friend in her?
well, I think you made a friend. I had asked her to do a transition piece. This is
Right, well,
Audrey, and
you
we had it
scared
all
her.
recorded.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I didn't like her take. I wanted a different, I don't know, different tone.
After
Pacing?
she'd done it twice.
Right, and I just thought she could do better.
Right.
And
So,
so we asked her to do one
we
more.
we didn't ask anything.
I asked her, and initially she had reservations to even record anything.
Well, she wanted to know, the temperament of our podcast. Especially in light of the Me Too, #MeToo stuff going on. And
Yeah.
that was a fair question. And she decided to go ahead with it. I mean, we looked like her dad, and you looked a bit like her grandpa.
But then she created a title for our episode.
She did. When you asked her one more time,
Could
when
you just
had
do one? It was good, but could we just do one more with a little different take on it?
Can I just quote her for you?
Go ahead.
Go
give
ahead.
It, give it to me like she did.
She looked right at you and said, "I am not your trained monkey."
Yeah, she put me in my place. As a producer, though, being promoted from grip to producer, I just thought it was my place to try and create something better.
And I thought you handled it well.
Well,
The
she
thick
shot me-
skin,
Well, inside I was hurting.
it wasn't a little
You'll
bit.
notice I didn't talk to a bartender the rest of the day.
She had us under control. She did a good job. Star Brass has good ratings on Yelp, and it's typical pub food with that additional beet sandwich and even a sockeye salmon grilled with tarragon sauce. The building is classic old Georgetown brick with dark interior and some original art on the walls. Not known to be haunted, but the bar next door was, and our punchy little Audrey made a very wise comment when she said, we're in the same building.
Right.
So thanks, Star Brass, Audrey, and even that Loretta Burger for a great first scooter stop on a cold Sunday morning.
Yeah, that burger did look good.
It was delicious.
You've been talking about that burger for a month.
Oh, and it was warm and in waxed paper, and it was cooked perfectly. Everything was right about it.
It's so coincidental that there was a 7-Eleven right around the corner.
And this bar, we're going to give a recommended stop by the Chasing Ghosts team.
Absolutely.
Our next stop was very promising with stories of the no-face man and pentagrams in the basement.
And the mirror, right? The no-face man was in the mirror?
The Canterbury Ale House on Capitol Hill in Seattle has everything going for it. First, the story origins from the Haunted Seattle website with reference to Spooked in Seattle, who wrote it, says, back in 1978, a man was shot in the face during a bar fight. No one knows who started the fight or why, but the tragic event took place near the fireplace where the man eventually died. Folks accustomed to
Old Shep died once in one of your stories, too.
Folks accustomed to the ghost living in the tavern say he can be seen in the mirror closest to the fireplace. If you look in the mirror, you will soon see a strange man looking down at the ground in the reflection, but this man is nowhere in the bar. They also say that if you look at him long enough, he will eventually begin to look up at you, only to show that he has no face.
Unfortunately, we couldn't test that because there was a group at that table.
Well, I did try looking in the mirror and saw nothing but a bunch of Viking fans watching their game.
You know what? I sauntered over to that mirror and I saw a youngish-looking scooter rider named Lizard.
He's not that young. Anyway, this guy could have been among them in that group. I mean, he could have been sitting there, and we just didn't notice the paranormal.
Maybe he was a Nordsman.
Nordsman?
Rooting for the Vikings on television.
Oh, right.
'Cause
You're
it
a
was
sports
football
guy.
game, yeah.
Right. So here's another comment that was on the same website, Haunted Seattle. Late one night, a bartender was closing up. He shut down the jukebox, as always, and went to finish his other closing time duties. Naturally, he was surprised to hear the jukebox switch on all by itself, but the strangest thing was the song it played, The End, by the Beatles. Others have sworn they have seen the dark figure of a man wandering through the bar only to vanish in front of their eyes. So,
Wow.
there you go.
Good stuff.
Very good stuff.
Why don't we have an interview then?
Well, we sat at the bar noticing the fireplace, the mounted antlers, the wood paneling, and the knighted crests, and started up a conversation with Brian, the bartender. Nice enough guy, but he said nothing had happened to him. He did say the manager had seen some things happen.
Don't even get me started.
No. So along walks this very pretty person, and I ask, "Are you the manager?" And she says yes. And I explained our mission, to find great bars with a paranormal leaning, and she said excitedly, "Get the fuck out!"
Yeah, she was excited.
And it was in a very friendly way. Declining to be interviewed, she did tell us about a looming shadow figure over her desk when she was by herself one morning and glasses flying off the end of the bar, which stopped after she installed a rack there. Remember that?
Yeah. But you know what? I think had Audrey not put me in my place and shot me down, I would have the confidence to talk to her at the ale house and get her to go on an interview.
Right. I think that Audrey...
But I was shaking in my boots.
Audrey took care of you early
I
in the
was
day.
done.
All in all, the Canterbury seems like a decent place with typical Cap Hill coders and hipsters drinking craft beer. I went back recently, and it was a different and kind of a little bit unfriendly afternoon weekday staff.
Really?
Yeah. I hope I just caught them on a bad day. The Chasing Ghost team gives them a
Maybe it's you.
good stop once in a while, and the parking was easy for Capitol Hill.
This is Adam at the Canterbury Ale House in Capitol Hill, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Well, then it was on to the Pine Box.
Love this place.
Oh, man, at the base of Capitol Hill on, well, Pine and Melrose. It's an old mortuary turned bar, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It's placed in an old E.R. Butterworth and Sons mortuary. It has an enormous cove ceilings, gorgeous decor, and as a side note, Mark, this is where Bruce Lee was interned, and his pallbearer was Steve McQueen.
Get out of here.
Pretty cool stuff.
Wow.
While not openly advertised as haunted, there is a known ghost or two there, and more than one investigation. There's a paranormal research team called White Noise Paranormal, who picked up an EVP of a female spirit answering their question, "Are you happy here?" with the word no. They said they didn't even need the equipment to hear it. They also mentioned that the Pine Box had one of the highest concentrations of EVPs they had ever experienced. And if you remember, Mark, an EVP is an electronic voice phenomena.
Oh, that's right.
It's where you hear things that you wouldn't normally hear, but your equipment picks it up, either analog or digitally. So they say it's got a lot of action going there.
I could see it. It would make sense. It was a cool bar. Right
Yeah,
from the onset.
Up the
whole-
big stairs, the
everything, yeah.
pillars out front, a
Very
great,
unique
great neighborhood.
looking bar.
As we were visiting with our German-speaking bartender, Clarissa
Gisela.
Gisela,
The goose.
Honestly, we don't remember.
But she was nice.
She was very nice. And as our scooters sat in a no parking zone, the promised rain and cold wind started up a bit early, and we had to, if you remember, we had to head out and head quickly south from Seattle back to Tacoma, and we broke one of our rules, a long-standing rule.
Yeah, well, weather created a dilemma.
It did, and we had tried to get out of it. We were like the buffalo running into the storm so that it would pass over quickly,
Yes.
and not the cows running away from the storm, though the storm just stays on top of them.
Did you get that from the Farmer's Almanac?
I got it somewhere. And we ran down the freeway from Seattle to Tacoma with the rain pelting so hard I had to drive one-handed with a glove over my mouth and my face because I didn't wear a full-face helmet.
Yeah, as I was looking in the mirror, I was chuckling to myself because I saw you with a face or your hand covering your face as best it could.
Driving one-handed in
Yes.
the rain with puddles and in the
middle of
carpool
traffic.
lane at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you know, we've done some stupid stuff over the last few years, but that probably didn't pass the safety test.
No, it wasn't our best move. You heard the disclaimer at the beginning of the podcast. I love the Pine Box, and it charmed me in many, many ways. It's super old, creepy, beautiful building in a super cool urban setting featuring good eats. What did we eat there, by the way? What was that?
Fries, didn't we?
You had the fries and
Oh,
a
yeah,
hot
that's
dog?
where they
We
put
shared something.
Yeah, there was. I think it was a hot dog.
We shared a moment.
Wink,
Anyway,
wink.
Hot
it
dog?
was good.
They call
eats.
them wieners.
A really good selection of beers and drinks and a rich history of stories and hauntings. And our team at Chasing Ghosts highly recommends them to our scooter listeners.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go. The Pine Box is a planned return.
Absolutely.
A
Yeah.
big winner.
Yep.
This is Christina at the Pine Box on Capitol Hill, and you are listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
So wanting to add to this podcast,
Well, because we struck out in terms of a bartender story.
well, we went to haunted bars and we heard the stories or read about them, but we've had a little bit of bad luck with people wanting to record their stories because they're worried about what other people think about them.
Right. Just couldn't quite pull it off.
And I understand that because, I talk about my haunted scooter rides, and in the background I can just see my wife rolling her eyes. Kind of hurts my feelings a little bit, and I know what some of these paranormal people are talking about when they say, hey, when you put it out there, people judge you immediately.
Well, we've been judging you for a long time.
And we know how sensitive you are.
That's right. So we headed out on a sunny and cold, if you remember, 36-degree temperature ride.
A second push to find a story.
That's right, in the old Tacoma area of South Tacoma Way. This used to be the old route to Olympia and started there, I believe, and probably had wagon trains.
Before
I know it had a
63,
streetcar
yeah.
and went out to Stillicum where we went a few episodes ago, or last one.
That was
Can't-
back when scooters had pedals.
That's right. And we stopped at Bob's Java Jive.
Which I thought was completely shut down.
Oh, no, it's
much to
open,
my
but it doesn't
surprise,
open
no.
until 8 p.m., which is our bedtime.
Yeah, too late.
So it's shaped like a tea kettle. It's an iconic Tacoma destination if you can get there when it's open. Known for quirky karaoke and even, in the past, live monkeys in the ceiling trees. You can certainly smell the history of the place. We plan to head there this summer when it's warmer in the evening and I think light out to do a piece on Bob's Java Jive. But go to our Facebook page at Chasing Ghost Pod to see a picture of it if you've never seen it before. Then it was off to the Lucky Silver and Kathy, the owner.
And that was a completely new bar for us.
It was a cool neon sign, family history, and burgers. I think that's how I sum it up. Though I think they do a lot more. They do hot dogs.
Right.
They have a giant burger that's like the size of a dinner plate that is supposed
We
to be
had the
really
small
We had a
and shared
small
it,
one and
that
shared it, and it
good
was
stuff,
plenty.
yeah.
Yeah. Was it better than the Loretta burger from Star Brass?
It was different. The Loretta burger was, they didn't do lettuce and tomato and all that. It just had a relish and a really good relish on there, and the
But it came with
burger,
good wax
some
paper,
cheese,
too.
and the really steamy wax paper. Kathy's burger was like you would have somebody make you at home. She broke off the lettuce and put it on there.
Bit of a
Sliced the
crust on the
tomatoes. She
bun.
grilled the bun.
Yeah, that
she
was
said she
delicious.
ground and hand formed her meat, and it was delicious.
And I noticed she was wearing gloves too, so that's a bonus.
It really was. I mean, the bar was started in the 40s, and the same families owned it since the 60s. So it's her mom owned it before her, and she's had it 23 years
And the
or
back
so.
bar is original.
It is.
It's got the cool old name of beers, still kind of barely scratched in there.
Right. The patina on the bar is
it's
boy,
outstanding.
don't refinish it. It's cool.
And Kathy didn't initially like the dive bar.
Oh, she
moniker.
just said, yeah, well, people call them dive bars now. I guess that's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't blame her.
I would
She's
say
proud
it's
of
a
it. But
classic and great dive bar.
yeah, it really is. And she gives good service.
You betcha.
And she's ready for us to swing in with our scooter group, but give her a call in advance so she's ready for it.
Yeah, and remind us not to sit next to that knucklehead
Douchebag, Doug.
Doug. Doug the Downer.
Doug was just a little negative, but he was a nice guy.
But he was pounding pictures.
He was.
He went
You got to
through two when we
respect
were
that.
Well, it
He
was
al-
11 a.m.
And that's where I did not have my wallet.
That's right.
And that's where I went big. Hey, let's have a burger.
You
Let's
did a
split a
nice
burger.
job of acting, though, like you truly forgot it.
I really did. Really.
You almost
I
had
left
me.
my recorder too. Kathy took our sticker, said she was going to put it on the back bar, but she was going to be in control of where it went.
Right, a little power struggle between you and her.
There was, and she reluctantly agreed to do a transition. So we're going to jazz that up a little bit and throw it in here.
Yeah, I would have liked to have her redone that too, but again, I'm so gun shy now. I'm afraid to ask for a redo.
Well, lately, since we've gotten a little more popular, people are careful. They don't want to.
All part of the success, I guess.
Right.
We're probably going to have to come up with a disclaimer from our attorney.
Can you sign this, please? We're gonna give the Lucky Silver a recommendation to swing in there.
Excellent,
Easy
yeah.
parking, great old classic part of town, good food, and the beer was cold.
A nice neon.
Oh, great neon sign. So back from 1940s neon sign, and it has not been touched.
No, beautiful.
So it looks perfect. And then your friend Doug recommended we run up to the
Wait a minute. We also knew the lizard's cousin was there.
I forgot about that.
Ran into him at the bar.
My cousin was there. Totally caught me by surprise. And
Because you said,
had a
I
nice
think
visit.
that's my cousin. You didn't even know him.
Well, if there would have been.
Oh,
the,
look at you! Be careful of
haunt-
what you say now. Now that it's somebody that can get back to you, you're being really, really careful.
I'm not so sure that my cousin is going to be listening to this podcast anytime soon.
Somebody in your family will. And why is there a sweat bead coming down your forehead?
Well,
It's getting hot in here.
Well, on this cold winter day, we finished up at the You Betcha Time for a Beer,
Oh, 99 there, right?
43rd Street.
Well, yeah, that actually is known in Tacoma as the 43rd Street Tavern, and I don't know exactly why it's changed to You Betcha, but anybody like Downer Doug would know it as the 43rd Street Tavern.
Well, it's up on Old Highway 99 or Pacific Avenue, and it has a terrific neon clock and sign, and I believe it overpromises the potential joy within.
Well put.
I made some notes while we were there, and here's what I said. We had stumbled into a 1970s or 80s time warp where you still find crocheted hats with half beer cans as the bling. It's the type of place you go when you want to visit with your neighbors after a brisk walk to get away from screaming babies. It doesn't matter where you go. You just got to get out. I will say the people there were friendly. They all seemed to know each other, and the bartender took immediate care of us, even though the bar stools were full. This place has a place, and it's on 43rd and Pacific in Tacoma. And I would say walk there and have a cold beer once in a while.
It would have been nice to sit at the bar. Would have been more of a bar. We got kind of shoved off to the side.
We were
The
near
only
the
place
pool
available, yeah.
tables. It was busy. It was full.
We are more comfortable at the bar for sure.
We are.
We're belly up kind of people.
We are.
Well, and, back in the 70s, women couldn't sit at the bar in Washington.
Well, that maybe would have changed our mind too. I'm just saying.
So it just had that kind of, basement rumpus room feel to it with the paneling on the walls and a picture of a
Just
city
missing a
that we didn't
beanbag.
recognize. Yeah. Anyway, I know, again, it's been a long time since our last podcast, and we really do appreciate that you all have stayed with us. We'll be ending this very quickly after acknowledging our musical input by Weeknights in Mount St. Helens, whose original music is used by permission and found everywhere, even with us.
But now we are going to try
On
and get a ghost
Spotify.
story here at some point, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna still search.
We're heading back out.
Got to get an interview.
As soon as I get my Toscano Urbano apron. So your bar and scooter hauntings are also needed. Tell us your story at chasingghosts.net. Hit the submit button, record it, write it, do whatever you need to do. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And really, we need your input. We want to know about things going bump in the night at your local bar, tavern, or pub.
And a shout out to Moscow and Tasmania.
Man, that's exciting stuff. That's a wrap, and let's listen our way through this.
Wish I had a better grip on the mountain.
This podcast and all others, including the music by Weeknights, is copyright by Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.
Hear that?
Another look at your back. I think for you it's all becoming the past.